host, the fifth general.
And Cinemascapes.
All right, Zaccheus is not with us today. He is in Haiti right now, as we're recording this episode, and he'll be back for episode 10. Okay. All right, so here's what's going on. Here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about 44 years of hip hop. You know, on August 11th. You know, it was the anniversary of hip hop, basically, you know, of its inception, creation, whatever you like to call it, you know, the start of the culture per se, you know. So we're going to talk about, 44 years of hip hop. Also, we're going to talk about hip hop as of today, try to go through the timelines a bit. MCs of today, would they survive in an earlier time of hip hop, and vice versa? Would some of these guys from an earlier time survive in a modern day era? All right, so let's do this. So 1973, okay, if I'm not mistaken, 1973, DJ Kool Herc, Godfather of hip hop, Bronx, New York. What's that joint? Sedgwick Ave. What's that? I gotta get that. You know, talk about how it started. So here in New York, see, me and Cinema and Zaccheus, we're all from New York. You know what I mean? All of us. You know, and so, you know, we're in a city where hip hop started. As time is going on, when we listen to current New York radio, which I don't really listen to, but I mean, if I was to, and through the times where I might turn, you know, listening by accident, you know, we notice today that the hip hop of old doesn't sound like the hip hop of today, and a lot of times, a lot of the artists that we hear today on the radio are not even from here, you know, which is interesting, you know, so. It just goes to show the change, the growth, whether it be good or bad. I mean, there's good and bad, you know. I mean, more good, but some bad. So, you know, I wanted to get the address. So 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx. All right. So DJ Kool Herc, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, born in Jamaica, but raised here, if I'm not mistaken. You know, basically had to break beats within certain songs, extended it, and ended up having a situation where now you had an MC at the time, MC, Master of Ceremony, you know, a term that a lot of people don't know what it means. You know, a lot of people don't know what the word MC means, but that's what that means. And, you know, we don't have that era of the actual master of ceremony no more. You know, I mean, we have rappers, but we don't have MCs. You know, I'm sure you could agree with that, Cinema.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big. Yeah.
So I'm gonna hand it to you real quick. So 44 years. So I would say like this: 44 years. Hip hop is older than me. Hip hop is, I don't want to give you an age, but it's as old as you, but it's older than you still.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's kind of close.
Right. So Google, real quick, and I'm going to hand it to you. So Google did a little tribute to hip hop. You know, they had a little interactive thing on their website. I thought it was cool. And
I played with it for a while. I pulled some Prince Paul beats. I saw the Prince Paul records. That's where I went first.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of Prince Paul, legendary, you know, so, I mean, it's definitely interesting here. It goes to show you, you know, it's 44 years of hip-hop being in existence. Also, you know, look at it this way. Hip-hop, they just announced, but I always knew this years ago because of what they was talking about with the attention that hip hop gets. That hip hop is the #1 genre most listened to in the world. It beat rock. I thought that happened a long time ago. I thought that happened over 10 years ago. Maybe I was wrong, but I think they were basing it off new data.
Yeah.
And the new data was counting, not only just airplay but also internet, because before they wasn't really counting the internet. But I would say the general consensus 10 years ago was that hip hop ended up passing all genres based off the grossing figures. As far as the grossing figures, money coming in, a lot of it, hip hop was winning. I mean, they were winning in everything, as far as like, money being made from it and off of it, So how you feel about this hip hop 44 years? Like, how you feel about hip hop today?
It's a real big difference. Now, let's just say I was a baby when hip hop was just taking off with Kool Herc. My cousins, siblings, a little older than me, they remember more about it. I remember groups, Sugar Hill Gang, Funky Four, plus one more, and a lot of those groups. We used to have, you had records. I was a little kid listening to, my siblings' records and my cousins' records. The hip hop, the hibbit,
you had some don't stop. Welcome to the bang bang boogie, the up jumps the boogie to the rhythm to the boogie the beat.
You had break beats, right? You had break beats. You had live bands. Yep. It was new. It was experimental, and it wasn't. There wasn't rules.
Right.
Yet.
Right.
And so it was just freedom of expression, a lot of experimentation, and you had a lot of different type of groups. You go through African Bambaataa, Stetsasonic. I'm jumping eras back and forth, not just naming people from one era.
Right.
One of my favorite. You get to the 90s, like I'm influenced Tribe, Roots, Cube, LL, definitely. Kane, Big Daddy Kane. I mean, what it is about hip hop is every generation that came and did it their way. Because before you had KRS and Shan, had Kumo D and LL battling.
Right.
You had so much,
You had Busy B and Kumo D first. Yeah.
Right. Originally, right.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because, LL got in there because, lower level, lackluster. Let's Go by Kumo D. I remember when that, you'll be excited because remember how records drop. You had to wait for the record drop. Then they tell you that. Then you go to the record shop. Yeah. I'm dating myself. Yeah. You go into the record shop. And then I remember we got Let's Go. And then, it ain't like a CD or, you get music instantly now. Yep. You had to go home, have your stereo set up, get your needle in, and you listen to that. And then you listen to, then LL just ended everything with To the Break of Dawn. But I'm not even going to be like a hater. It's like, it's different because the culture is different now.
Right.
Because early on, we couldn't get on radio. They weren't playing our videos. Hip hop wasn't part of the industry. Some groups broke through, but everybody didn't break through at the time.
Right.
It's like even when gangster rap came, it didn't get played on the radio for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, fortunately, my cousins and we listened to everything. Like, we were listening to the Chronic. It broke on the West, but like the East didn't accept it till like almost a year later. And we, people were making fun of me listening to Dr. Dre's Chronic. I referred to that another episode. And we're like, this junk is hot,
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't saying junk, but,
Yeah, we know.
But, Yeah. Oh, my gosh. I talked about how I cut school to get Nas's album. And I just say it's more commercial, more accessible.
Yeah.
A lot of what, we enjoyed about the culture, going to the store, going to the thing, meeting up, somebody get a new record, a bunch of us go over to the house. It's not necessary no more. So when, these kids, you're trying to explain to this generation, there's nothing they have to reference all the stuff we're talking about. You see a group, you have a break battle, you put the radio down, the boombox down, start dance battling, And then, in the nine, I'm not going to put dates to it, but then you started having ciphers, somebody beatboxing, and then everyone just spitting verses and stuff. A lot of that with the technology ages, you can do a lot with your friends. You don't even have to go outside your house to do it until you have your songs together and stuff. People got tracks. People got, I do that. My tracks are on my iPhone, my iPad, whatsoever, Right. It's just a lot of things that we hold dear in the culture just doesn't apply anymore because of the technology. That's not a bad thing because we enjoy the technology. We enjoy being able to be independent. We enjoy being able to put records out faster. We enjoy being able to to go to the studio in our house. Because studios were expensive. And you had to know what you were doing because you would waste your money and not be able to finish something. Because the technology changed.
I mean, yeah, it's true.
And there's other things. Musically, creatively, I don't think, it's more trendy now as far as sound.
Yeah.
And you're not, conscious with the older crowd. Conscious is good, but the older crowd's spending more money. So, and that's how it's always been. The younger crowd, that's what they do. And the older crowd, they got they got money. Now you got streaming services and stuff like that. So creatively, you want to be trendy because you're trying to get people to stream more. So, you're not encouraged as much to be experimental.
Well, it's sad because it's like hip hop today's industry is basing hip hop off of the attention span of the listener now.
Yeah, but that's also, that's also an assumption.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is an assumption. It is.
So, that's if there's any downside, there's some people, and that's not to say people are not creative now. There's a lot of stuff, people in the underground. There's a lot of people who's just not messing with the industry.
Right.
Where you got to search more. Like underground, they would just be like underground record labels because you still needed somebody to help you get the music out. Now you have more avenues to get the music out yourself with less expense.
I would say that we need more. All right, when it comes to these guys when it comes to like unsigned artists, we need more representation as far as on the business side. We need more promoters and managers and stuff like that, publicists, whatever, to help the exposure of these artists because there are a lot of unsigned talent out there that would rival the talent that is signed. Major label artists.
Right. And then there's hip hop in other countries. I'll just pull Korea. You got BTS. That's one of many groups.
Right.
That's like a major group my nieces listen to. But now some of their fan base is falling off over here in America. Some people like what they're doing now. But everybody agrees on their early stuff. You have a hip hop has you had DJ Honda come out. He's from Japan. It's touching every continent.
Mm-hmm.
You got 20 Sil rapping in French, killing it.
They support what? We don't even have to go that far. We could just go as far as just Canada because notice. There's a lot of support, of course, for Drake, but other artists like The Weeknd, that come out of Canada or, just Toronto specifically, but just there's a lot of support for local artists there are a lot of support in Canada for their local talent.
Yeah.
They get behind, and we're just talking about somebody just north of the border of us. And you know, I live in New York right now. You're in Delaware. We ain't too far away from Toronto, Canada.
Right.
Ain't like it's like a, you know, a 10-hour flight.
Right.
You know.
Right. And it's the whole thing. The culture has moved to other countries as far as how we know it, how we like it. We've talked about artists we enjoy relocating to Toronto.
Raekwon being one of them. I think he got a spot in Toronto.
Right. Whether they live there full time, but they got the spots up there because they love how the city vibes. And that's how it was around New York, where you went from place to place. You knew who was doing music. You had to create a thing. People wanted to work. Now, in this technological age, a lot of people like, I'll do it myself. Or, you know, people want, you know, my personal experience, people call you whack because you don't make the beats they like. They don't even want to listen to it because we're just looking to be like this one or that one, but there's no creative flow to it. And it's like, it's caused a lot of separation. And, you know, because people are just trying to make it and then they just dismiss you as a hater. And I'm like, well, there has to be a lot of other things in place if you're going to do this. You can do a lot of local shows, but if you don't have promo, if you don't have connects, if everybody hates you, who's going to take you on tour with them? And then you see people from other countries. And then a lot of people, even people from here who are in America, don't spend a lot of time touring here. They do their tour here and then they just go overseas and spend a long extended time. You know, how long has Ariana Grande been on her world tour? For a minute now, right?
Yeah.
And she had to take the little break after what happened in Manchester.
Attack, yeah.
Yeah, her terrorist attack. Those kids go to see her. And it's like a lot of people here like, oh, a lot of people on social media slam these people. And these people are around the world in Japan and places, and they're loved. You know? And so a lot of this, the way the culture and the trendiness we have in America is hurting the industry here, but not everywhere else. Like if you could get a record out and then you get overseas, you're fine. If you could get a following away from here, a lot of our old school artists are over there rocking shows all the time. You know, it's just facts. They have more respect. They have more respect for the people who come up here. They're like, y'all old, blah, 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 you know, disrespectful at times. Some people honor the old school. Some people don't. I'll just leave it like that. You know what I'm saying?
Sadly, you don't. But you see that what you're talking about, we only see that in hip hop. I have never seen in the rock and the heavy metal community bash somebody in the hard rock. Like for instance, let me just say this. So you got different types. I mean, you got the death metal, heavy metal, whatever. You got rock or alternative rock, whatever they like to call it, right?
Yeah.
I never seen somebody who's a fan of like say Gene Simmons wants to do something, right? I ain't never heard an audience tell that man, old man, go home, get out of here. Like they respect their legends.
Right. I don't see Metallica going at Gene Simmons.
Yeah. See, you don't even see an abundance of like you don't see. I mean, what Blink-182 was gonna say? Van Halen sucks. Like this is just stuff you don't see. Oh, your time is up. Don't get out of here. You don't hear it even from the fans. If you listen to a rock station all day, you never hear nobody on radio say, "Yo, this ain't relevant no more. Don't even play that no more." Please.
Okay, well, I'll take you a personal example.
Mm-hmm.
Yes is a band from the 70s, a progressive rock band.
Yeah.
2008 when they had their anniversary tour and other times. But, I went with friends in 2008. We was, it was a great show too. But the same thing, Big Daddy Kane's doing great shows. So what's the difference? And so why is this, that's what's hurt the culture. Because I always use this example, but it's true. When Run DMC made Down with the King, Pete Rock, Naughty, how many people on there giving Pete Rock respect? He's on IG. I follow him. Good IG. Where is that,
Hey, I mean, if Marilyn Manson gets on a stage today, do you think he's gonna get booed off the stage by a whole bunch of rock and roll fans? No. If anything,
they're gonna go crazy.
They're gonna lose their mind if he gets up there and he sings "Dope Show" or "The Beautiful People."
Madonna,
you know what I'm saying?
Madonna gets up on a stage. Madonna puts out, "Oh, I'm going on tour." She's selling out.
I would say with Madonna, and I mean, good for her in this sense, is that she still has a loyal fan base.
But that's what we're talking about. We're still on. If De La did a show, oh yeah, October out here in Philly. Guess who's gonna be here? Farside's doing their whole first album anniversary. The whole first album.
See,
exactly. I'm trying to get there. Personally, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I heard about it by accident because I had to do the Google thing like I told everyone to do. Got to do the Google thing. Got to find them on Facebook. Turn on notifications because Facebook don't show you everything. And blah blah. Oh, they're in my area. Final. A lot of times you miss a lot of things from shows because it seems people are not interested, or I don't know why that attitude's in hip hop. Like, you're too old to rap. Oh, go out to pasture. And it's like people are making fire albums. I talked about, off air one time with you. I talked about LL's Authentic album, and nobody listened to it. And I love that album. It was a great album.
Def Jam didn't get behind.
He's not on there. Remember, he's not there no more.
At the time.
No, that album wasn't done on Def Jam. That was.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about Exit 13 or whatever. What is that called? 13. That one, whatever it was.
Yeah, that was a good album too. The label did.
Yeah, Def Jam didn't get behind him on that one.
We could talk about that too in a minute.
Yeah, okay.
Because that's part of the problem too.
Right.
Not supporting your legacy artists. So LL got in there, did an album. Because he loves doing music. He's, if you're not watching NCIS LA, you're missing out.
Right.
They're killing it on that show. So, he's doing that. And so he just drops a gem, Snoop's on it. George Clinton, Earth, Wind and Fire is on there. Uncle Charlie is on there. Monica does a hook on a song. Eddie Van Halen plays a guitar on a song.
Wow.
The song he did in the Grammys that one year.
Yeah, with Chuck D. Right?
Chuck D. Yeah. That's on there with Travis playing drums.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went in after that performance and redid the song to like the live performance version. What's up? Yeah, that's the name of it.
Yeah.
I got so much trouble
on my mind. Refuse to lose.
No, that's not. It's not called "What's Up." I don't remember what it's called right now.
Yeah, but that's part of the chorus, I think.
Yeah, that's part of the hook.
Yeah,
but
that was like
song,
what 2015 Grammys when he performed that.
Yeah, that's the year the album came out.
Yeah,
and so, but everyone's sitting there in shock, like, "Oh, that's hot." Twitter's going blazing. But how many people went and got that album when it dropped? Because the single dropped. I bought the single that night, then I bought that, then I bought the single Take It, which if you didn't buy it as a single, you could only get it at that where you had the promo for like the bonus tracks, but I have it as a single. And then, then the album dropped, and then it's like, okay, where's the support? If you enjoyed it, and this is what I'm missing, what I'm trying to say is a lot of this community don't put their money where their mouth is. Whereas for whatever, Dave Matthews fans will see them about 8 to 10 times in their lifetimes. Some people see them 8 to 10 times a year and go around the country, plan their summer vacation around the Dave Matthews dates. Dave Matthews dates, Dave Matthews Band. So, some things we send hip hop for sale. If the backing and the support monetarily is not there, you'll say, oh, that's hot, that's what I need, but you don't get the album, or at least stream it now in these days.
Right, so they can at least get money from that at least.
Right, if you got Apple Music, you have access to everybody's album when it drops.
Yeah. Even if you stream it on YouTube, there's a royalty now. Because
exactly.
They couldn't stop, they can't necessarily stop, they tried. You be flagging a video all day. So they decided, you know what, fine.
We'll put it up.
We'll put it up, and then you're gonna listen to it, but at least they can get some, something for it. So that's what YouTube started doing with that. Like you said, they could at least stream it if they're not gonna go and buy it online or go in a store and buy it. Like the old. I would say, you know what? Here's the thing. I was still buying CDs up until. Well, let's put it like this. I think up until 2000. Up until maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 years ago, I would still go into a store and buy a CD. Around the time when Virgin Megastore closed down in Manhattan.
Right.
I would still at times do it. I got to a point where I don't do it as much. You know why? Because when you go into a store now,
ain't no CDs.
They're not there. I remember I went into, I was at Best Buy. Not for music, but I just happened to walk in the music section. And that section was so tiny, man. It was just like one row.
And the further north, the smaller the sections are.
Right. It was like
in some areas CDs still sell, but like if you live in like a metropolis area or a city area, like in the Northeast, we're talking Northeast because it's about where we are.
Right.
Like even here in Delaware, I go into a Walmart where you used to have 2 or 3 rows, and the CDs are just one row, and it's like the top 100. And there's more movies there than anything now.
Yeah.
And so, but basically, music doesn't sell as much in those areas, and they want you to buy digital. And I'm like, if you're gonna make me buy a digital Walmart, I might as well go to a vendor that I could use with my phone or something.
Yeah,
I might as well go to Apple or Amazon like I do, or Google Play, depending on your phone type and carrier.
Right.
And so those are the big 3, and I make sure my music's at all 3 of those, and Tidal, and Spotify, and even though Spotify still don't pay you nothing, but it's but it's how it's become. Because of these devices, you can instantly access it. Why wait? At midnight, I'll have the album in my phone.
See, here's the thing: hip hop should be in a position where somebody like rest in peace, Prodigy, but before Prodigy died. Hip hop should be in a position where Mobb Deep wants to do a show right now in Manhattan. It should be packed. They should be wanting to do it, get on, and they should be announcing this on, locally, Hot 97, Power 105, should get behind this stuff. I mean, Nas wants to do a show right now in so-and-so place here in New York. That should be support Wu-Tang. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying, right?
Right.
But other genres could do this. I mean, Bruce Springsteen could wake up tomorrow morning and say, I'm doing a show Saturday. And then that thing is packed up. Not only that, everybody's going to get behind that. Freaking MTV News, even though MTV don't show music that much, but at least on their website and all the other stuff, they would get behind something like that. You know what I mean? But with hip hop,
you would say
they don't do it.
You would see it on the local news.
It would be exactly. You would see it.
And a lot of the time, hip hop still doesn't get the respect it deserves. It just gets dismissed because it's always been the quickest moneymaker for a label. It's the most inexpensive production, and it's just quick money, and it's not seen as long-lasting money because people don't do hip hop covers. Something Snoop was trying to start and nobody understood what he was doing when he redid Lottie Dottie, except people got salty. And I saw what he did. He got a brother money for remaking his song. That's what every other genre does.
Snoop Dogg is a student of hip hop. He loves hip hop.
Exactly. And that's my point. When he did that, me as a fan appreciated that. And then you're from the West, and then you're gonna recognize one of my favorite songs and like put a spin on it, and then give the writer some royalties if you know how it works.
The one thing I wanted, just real quick, the one thing I've learned from Snoop is that he loves hip hop. I mean, he is such a student. I mean, he knows the lyrics. I mean, he's just like any strong hip hop fan. He had an interview a while back. He was interviewing RZA on his GGN network.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, he said, when I was coming up, I was listening to y'all on the East Coast. He said, we loved you guys. We was listening. He said, a Wu-Tang album came out. He said when Wu's first album came out, he was bringing that to his peoples and all that. And then the one thing RZA had told him was, yo, you know, it's interesting that you say that. He said, yo, when you came out with Doggy Style, he said, we was bumping your album.
Definitely.
You know, and Snoop was like, yo, they both didn't know that about each other.
Wow.
That's what was great about that. They both, and then also, he talked about how much ODB loved Snoop. And then, you know, Snoop was like, yo, I did not know he was such a big fan of me. Now, they've collabed before because they've done a record before. Snoop appeared on the W album. He appeared on that one. So it's not like they don't know some degree of that. But I noticed in that interview, he was talking about the first album, how this was a conversation they had for the first time about how much they appreciated each other's music when they first came out. And, you know, on one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast. And it's a shame that we actually had this East Coast, West Coast beef that the media was behind. I mean, I know people want to talk about Pac and Big and all that, but really the media got a lot of blood on their hands for that East Coast, West Coast beef anyway.
Right.
So here a lot of money got messed up when both of their lives ended. You know, when both Biggie and Pac got killed, it just messed up money. But it just goes to show that for a while, and you can remember this, during that time, East Coast artists or West Coast artists would not big each other up for a while. That stopped. The conversations was
right publicly. Publicly, nobody would say nothing.
No,
right? Because let's be clear. When Doggy Style after Chronic was one of the most anticipated hip hop albums everywhere. That's another album I went and bought on day one.
Yeah,
and that thing stayed locked.
Yeah,
that production, you know, waiting for the next video, and of course, original Wu album, 36 Chambers.
36 Chambers, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Growing up on Staten Island.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Me going to church in Park Hill my whole childhood.
Yeah.
Come on.
Right.
Me, before my church was evangelizing on Park Hill Day, me sneaking up to Park Hill Day, just being in the crowd. Come on. And my mom didn't know. Right. Oh, I'm over at the church helping them clean. Nope. I gotta go. My mom's waiting for me. Oh, nope. Slip around the back of the Tarji Plaza, Park Hill Day. Yeah. Yeah, I'm telling on myself, but I'm grown now, so it don't matter. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As a fan, a lot of that, you know, we disliked it, but it didn't stop me from listening to the other people's music. And I know a lot of my friends got mad. Why you listen West Coast? And I think that's a lot of New York falling off, was that getting on that New York only tip.
Yeah.
And that was very destructive. You know, after doing a lot of production for Cube and stuff, his production coming out of New York, then his production growing with his own crew and all that had so much potential. And then all that comes into play. You know, people forget Ice Cube rocked the Apollo in a Jerry curl. Period.
Right,
Period.
right.
You know, the episode at Showtime at the Apollo, when even Philly, they were booing Will Smith. And Will Smith tears up that song. What's that song where he just rhymes real fast? Then they just drop the mic and walk off the stage. And I'm like, good. And this is me being a New Yorker.
Right.
And I know some of y'all going to be salty with me. I don't care.
Well,
I hated that because, you know, if it's growing and if it's growing beyond us, it's going to survive. I always figured if hip hop was only a New York thing, it'll live and die in New York.
Yeah.
And then you had the King of New York complex.
Well, before we get to the King of New York complex, I mean, to be fair, Cube did get involved in the East Coast West Coast thing later on.
I know he did.
Right after the Apollo thing.
And then that's right. then that's what after Apollo thing, and then he got involved with Common. But,
right.
Yeah.
He got involved with Common. He got involved with Cypress Hill. That's another conversation because that beef actually became real. But
yeah,
you know, that's some street
but
stuff.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
but
musically,
I'm just saying at the time. If let's just say that East-West thing doesn't pop off that way, imagine the collabs we could have had.
We could have. You know what? I'm glad we're to the point where we don't have that going on no more. But I will say one thing to be fair about support, because we were just talking about really, I would say New York needs to check themselves, because the same city that had that mentality is the same city that is lacking in supporting their own artists. That's why New York needs to check themselves, at least on the West. Look,
they support everything.
They support Snoop do something right now in L.A. or wherever, in Cali or wherever, even in the South, he's gonna get support. You know, Kendrick. Let's talk about it like today's artists. Kendrick does something right now. He's getting supported out there. You know what I mean? Guys like Kendrick, guys like The Game. They do something right now where they at. People are gonna come see them. They're gonna come out and see them and love them and respect them. I just felt like in New York, a lot of artists. I mean, it's a shame. Drake can come here and sell out a show like it's nothing, But then, somebody like God, who's that? I'm trying to think of somebody who's up and coming from here, do a show.
Can't fill a cafe.
Right. But then the radio stations don't play them. The radio stations here in New York, well, here's the thing, because they're not owned by New Yorkers. That's another thing. They're not independently owned. That's another problem.
Right. Like they used to be.
Yeah, they used to be. Back when Hot 97 didn't have to answer to another parent company to the point where it took over their playlists. That's the problem. The problem is a lot of these radio stations are chain owned, corporate owned. So then the same playlist is for everybody. Same thing, everybody. That's a shame.
Percocet.
Exactly. Every time you turn around, you hear Future. No disrespect to Future, but
no disrespect.
There's other people out there besides him.
You hear a car passing, that's what you hear, and so I know the song.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of the first songs that come to mind anytime I'm walking around because it's played so much. Then they did the challenge.
Well, I remember that time. This is an interesting story. It's a funny story. Remember, me, you, and Zaccheus was in the car, and somebody drove by and they was playing something, and then you bust out. It was going along with the beat. I'm riding around the car in my new trash, in my new trash, in my new trash.
I'm riding around listening to my new trash, my new trash.
Because that's basically what we hear in New York. It's a shame because, I've lived in another place other than New York. I lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma for a time. And when I'm out there, it's not reverse. It's not like here. It's not like here in New York, you hear New York stuff. Like, I'll give you an example. I think, who said this? I don't know if it was Ludacris or somebody else who said this. He was like, this is sad. I'm getting the artist wrong, but I don't want to, no, it's not Luda. I don't want to say Luda. An artist who's from here and another artist who's not from here had the same conversation, and they had an interview up in Hot 97. And they both said this. The one from New York was a little different. He was more passionate about New York stuff. He was like, yo, when I'm in New York, it sounds like I'm in Miami. He said, but when I go to Miami don't sound like I'm in New York. He said, so Miami could be Miami, and that's cool. He said, but why is it that when I come up here, we don't hear us? He's got a good point. An artist from Atlanta said, yeah, I come up here and I hear the same stuff. He said, it's not like in Atlanta you hear a bunch of New York stuff. He said, once upon a time you did. Well, because at the time, New York were the main artists who were signed. So I get it. So who was signed was who you heard. But yeah, if you go anywhere else, it's not in reverse. It's not like you hear, like, okay, it's not like I'm going to go to, like, Houston, Texas, and then I'm going to hear a bunch of Wu-Tang because New York ain't playing it. No, they're going to play what they want to play, and they should. If I'm in Houston, Houston should sound like Houston. Atlanta should sound like Atlanta.
Yeah, but for a note, lunchtime around here, Philly sound more like New York used to.
You know why? And this is one thing Jadakiss said. Jadakiss said his biggest, I think Fabulous said the same thing. Their biggest supporters financially is Philly. So so that's usually where they get the most money for their shows. That's where they get the biggest audience and the most record sales.
Because you'll have a show with Kane and them right here, and I'm like, well, quick.
Yeah.
And then you'll see it all over Philly social media, on the Philly Facebook social media and everything. And I'm like, I couldn't even see these shows in New York or hear this. And I'm listening to old school hip hop on like the lunch station, around lunchtime around here. And I'm like, yeah,
Yo, every year when the Roots do the Roots barbecue joint.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yo, they get a lot of respect. I mean, the crowds that they draw.
And the place they did it this year, I think they got to find a new place.
See,
it's you, and see, this is for me moving down a little bit and getting this to where I can hear this, because it's either make a hit or make what you want nowadays. And so, at the 44 years, how many generations,
Yeah.
A lot of the original pioneers are gone. And then a lot of the golden era people are starting to go now.
Yeah. Which hurts my heart as a fan, because
yeah. And
golden era is the best time of hip hop.
Right.
Yeah.
This morning you find out Ric Flair's in the hospital. So hip hop.
That's wrestling.
Right. But I'm saying that's that era.
That's that era,
Hip hop, just as an example.
Right.
These, Roddy Piper's gone. You used to listen to hip hop in your house,
gone.
And then you're like, okay, let's watch WWF. Okay, turn it off, turn the music back on, turn on the Sega Genesis. Yeah, man.
You make a good point. You make a good point, because we had stuff that surrounded golden era that a lot of hip hop fans either were inspired by or they inspired others in that time.
Right.
I mean, how many artists out there wanted to be the Ric Flair version in hip hop? Many.
Exactly.
And we've had some.
Exactly.
So I get that, because the personality that Ric Flair was on the mic, and I get that. You know what I'm saying? He's inspired that, vice versa, because I'm pretty sure he probably heard something in hip hop and said, oh, okay, I'm going to try this.
That's why Yeah, and that's why it was fitting with Ice Cube starting the Big Three, because at that time with Iverson and stuff, hip hop had a big influence on the NBA.
Of course.
Does it now?
The tattoos,
Does it now?
the tattoos, the braids.
What about now? They can't take Percocets in the NBA. They get in trouble.
Well, we know hip hop still has an effect on the NBA because the NBA still has All-Star Weekend. And
I know, but
right.
You know what I'm saying.
I know what
I'm
you
just
mean.
talking about.
I know what you mean.
I'm talking not just as music there,
right?
Because you're a popular. I'm talking about the culture. Remember, it used to be what was the interview? What are you listening to before the game?
Yeah,
and
yeah, it's always a hip hop. Most people will say a hip hop record mainly,
right? Except it came back with LeBron when he did the workout video post finals. He had a hip hop, I'm like, I haven't seen that for a while. Somebody do that.
Well, the NBA hated hip hop culture once it started to look like hip hop culture. And I'll give you an example. You know this.
Dress code.
Dress code. There you go. Allen Iverson back in the days. Anytime he wasn't playing the game, my man would be out there, jeans on, hoodie, chains on, do-rag with bandana around it, with the do-rag, I'm telling you, they hated seeing that. And because of that, they said, nah. Because before that, cats would wear a suit or be casual even before an actual dress code was established because the generation of that time. But Iverson is from the hip-hop generation. As a matter of fact, I think Iverson is 44 or 45 years old.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
He still reflects it in his dress in a way.
Exactly.
Even though he has on the Threes Company shirt for Big Three, he got on his hat, he got on his shoe. Yeah, that's Iverson. And so with it becoming more commercial and changing the dress, so now you don't get that where where we talked about a lot for Hip Hop for Sale. How the dress is changing, how it's become more commercial, how this person's sponsoring, and how we wouldn't wear anything that didn't like us. Like how many people stopped wearing Tommy Hilfiger when certain alleged information was released?
Oh,
the hood was like,
I was done with him.
They were wearing parodies, which I can't say on air.
Oh wow, Timmy Hill. Okay.
Yeah. If you're from New York, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at that. But when I like Nike, but wait a minute. Last week,
Yeah.
Hip hop would say something. If hip hop said something, you was through. You was through being worn. And the influence, it's just like a lot of things. We lost control of it, like jazz and everything else.
Yeah.
And me being a jazz head, because a lot of guys I want pure jazz. I don't like smooth jazz. I was like, I kind of understand that, but I'm with the kids making what they want, but it's like, if it feels like it's a generic pull, it feels more commercial, like you're going in a studio and they're writing this for you, because it's, there's still people here in this generation popular making original, unique things.
I have a problem with the term hater because in this particular sense. So if you don't like something or don't agree with something, you're labeled a hater. So that word is thrown around way too loosely now. It's been thrown around for years, but it's so quick to come off the tongue because somebody does a song that sounds like hot garbage, and then all of a sudden you don't love it, so they call you a hater, and it's like, yo, the man's not even saying nothing. He sounds like he's rapping underwater, like he's drowning.
And then if it's an artist I like and I particularly don't like this song by them,
mumble rappers, man.
How am I a hater? Let's say, I'll give you an example. Let's say
I was at the barbershop.
No, hold on. Go ahead.
I was at the barbershop getting my hair cut, right? And my man said, yo, what the heck are they saying, man? And he was like, yo, it's a style. He said, nah, nah, you can understand them if you listen. I was like, no, they mumbling, man. He said, yeah, but it's a style. And I said, hold on. I said, they're mumbling in the lyrics. But then he said, nah, it's because they from the South. I said, no, this guy was born here. So what's his excuse? He listened to people from the South. I'm like, that's his excuse? I was like, okay, I can understand if he said it. He said, yeah, they say it with a certain cadence. And I was like, man, there were plenty of dudes who were from the South that I can understand them. So that's not enough of an excuse. But then we transitioned to this. I said, what do you say about the mumble rapper who, when the song is off, he's talking and he's mumbling? He had nothing to say when I said that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, these cats is mush mouth from Fat Albert in the gang. Hey. You know what I'm saying? These cats is mush mouth, man.
From the Halloween episode.
Yeah, they
what's up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting there listening to a song and I'm like, yo, what the heck did this man just say?
Yeah,
I'm like, wait a minute, what country am I in?
Exactly. But the whole thing is not even with that. Look, let's say I didn't like a song off of 444. Oh, I liked the whole album, but I just didn't I didn't feel that song. You a hater? How? I spent my money. How am I a hater? I'm a fan.
I'll name
how, but this is how the term hater has been too much. It's too. How am I a hater when I'm the one spending money? You didn't buy the album. You got a bootleg in your phone using the radio stream, but I'm the hater because I've been paid for this album.
And just off of one song.
One song because I just didn't like the song. Sometimes the song got to grow on you. Oh, I ain't feeling it yet.
That's true. There's a lot of songs that I despised when I first heard it. It grew on me. I'll give you an example since we going there. Let's talk about 444. Although I do like the album a lot, but I don't like Smile that much.
I knew that with you. As soon as I heard it, I was like, Jay ain't gonna like this.
Yeah, I don't really like that much. Caught Their Eyes is not really all that of a record either.
But it happens.
But
because it's an album.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is people have different preferences. Somebody might love that. But you're not a hater because you just don't particularly like that song?
Yeah, I could tolerate some songs now.
There was that song on the Tribe Called Quest album that I knew you wasn't gonna like.
Oh, you
just because of how it sounded.
Hold on, you talk about the joint that he did with Andre Kids?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I said Fifth ain't gonna like this.
A lot of people wasn't. You know what? It's funny because some people I run into, they love the album, but that's a track they usually skip. I skipped that too. I don't hate the record, but it didn't match with the album. I'm like, dang, that's the song I had Andre 3000 on.
It's something that everything you do as an artist doesn't always resonate.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't make you a hater. That, it happens.
It happens. Ain't like the rest of the album's great, but
having a perfect album is so rare.
It is, man.
It's rare, even from the best of the best. You're taking risks.
Nas is a great example of that. Nas, okay, number one, Nas is my favorite rapper, right? But a lot of his albums are hit or miss.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth. I love him as an artist. I do, and he's one of my he's in my top 5. He's my number one. He's been my number one for most of my life of his career. There were times where he kind of was like 1-2, 1-2. He's kind of back and forth. But this is an artist who has inspired me as an artist. And he's had hit or miss albums. Now his career is not hit or miss. That's another conversation. But I'm just saying he's had albums that this song's good, this one's whack, this is hot, this is he's had stuff like that, and then he's had classics. So I mean, it's he has that to his credit, but he's an artist who doesn't have to do any more albums to prove anything. He's solidified. He don't have to do anything else. That's like somebody asked a question about Jay-Z. Somebody said, "Does Jay-Z got to do another album after this?" I said, "You mean he got to do another album after this because you want one, or he got to do another album after this to be considered something?" He said, "For his legacy, he needs to do another album." I disagree. He does not need to do another album.
He didn't even need to do this album for his legacy.
That's true. He didn't have to, but I'm glad he did though. But I'm glad he did though.
Exactly. Yeah. If you want to talk about that, that's like LL don't got to do another album for his legacy.
No, he don't.
But he does. But he did one. I liked it.
I felt that way about LL back when he did the 10th album. I was like, LL, if this was your last, cool. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. But and
that's the whole thing. Legacy is not about being hot now. And there's producers who just want to have the hot song out right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that. And then there's producers who don't worry about that, who make a lot of money and they're not in the public eye. But every time Just Blaze touches something, it ends up being fire. But you don't see him all over social media trying to be the quote unquote man. He just does good work. And it speaks for itself.
He's a humble guy. I mean, when he had that DJ battle with Swiss Beats, even though Swiss Beats won that doesn't mean that Swiss Beats is a better producer than Just Blaze. It just happens to be for that battle, the song selection. He ended up winning that particular battle.
Yeah, because he dropped a bomb that nobody knew existed.
Let me just say this.
That track was ridiculous.
So you're referring to that unreleased track with Jay-Z, DMX, Nas, and Jadakiss.
Oh my God, yes.
You know what was
the one that made Busta Rhymes react.
Yo, Busta Rhymes' face. Yeah. Okay, if anybody out there is listening and has never seen this video, which went viral earlier this year, just look it up on YouTube. Just look at Busta Rhymes' face. His face says the whole thing. Every time, let me tell you something. Also, Swiss played the song out of sequence, so we don't even know who rapped them in a particular order.
Right.
And he did it by surprisal. He goes, okay, I'm going to play it with Jay-Z first. Because you guys know I work with Jay-Z, so this ain't going to be nothing new to you. And then all of a sudden he played, and then all of a sudden you heard Escobar Season has returned. And then you saw Busta's face like, yo, Nas is on this record? And then you hear Jada on it. Jada's verse sound nice from the very small seconds of what we heard. Then you heard.
Didn't even get to hear the whole song yet.
He ain't even hit. Busta Rhymes almost lost it. Then when you heard DMX's voice, Busta Rhymes was about to walk out of there.
Exactly.
He looked like he was like, Bus was like, "Oh my God, X is on this too." And we don't even know when was this recorded. I mean, there were rumors that this was something that was recorded for X's album that he's working on. I sure hope it is. The song sounded crazy.
And then we don't even know if anybody else is on it.
Exactly. I mean, who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows?
Busta, look, this is what I started thinking of. It's possible that Busta Rhymes is probably on that record, but he didn't know that they were going to be on the record too.
Or if he wasn't, he probably,
he probably dropped his verse, right? And all of a sudden, because, a lot of people don't know this. In hip-hop, you have situations where somebody will come in, I got a song I want to do. They lay their track down. They lay their vocals down. All of a sudden, you find out that you were the one of the couple of MCs that was supposed to be on this record. Sometimes, there are a lot of stories that are being told like that. Like, when I first got on the record, he just wanted me to get on. I didn't know he was adding boom, boom, boom.
Right.
You know, you have that. You know, I'm telling you, Busta Rhymes is face. Well, because
Just said
Busta
it.
Rhymes is a fan of hip hop, so you know him. And Busta Rhymes loves lyrics. He loves lyricism. That's one thing he respects. This is why he's such close to Wu-Tang. Loves them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's good. That song for me to hear that record, even though it was just you can't really hear the audio that sonically the best because it's being recorded by a cell phone. But
yeah.
you could tell from that record that it sound hot, and it's good for hip hop to have these guys get on the record together. I love when Nas and X collab.
Yeah.
But to hear J, Nas, X, and Jadakiss on that record that's sick.
Right. And back to that, the battle was with Swiss, and very humble guy.
Humble. Swiss beat, Just Blaze, humble dude, man. Just Blaze is humble, man.
And so, and he puts out fire. I mean, just look at his track record.
Right.
And so, that's the difference. A lot of people are like gone from this in 10 years. They're hot, and then you don't see them doing this anymore. Ludacris is still doing hot albums.
I'm glad he's been acting, but I'm glad he's back to enjoying doing music again. Like having fun again. One thing you can expect from Ludacris is this. Ludacris puts out quality music. He does, but he's humorous. So we could expect, him and Eminem are very similar when it comes to doing an album, but then having a record that is, Redman. There's several artists that we can name that are into this.
Yeah.
There's always a record or two, or maybe 3 records on an album that they'll do. Usually pick up for a single, and there'll be a record that they're just having fun on. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's artistic.
Yep. And so, and that's what you want more, because formula stuff, the trendy stuff always dies.
Yep.
It always is. And that's in every style of music. You got the one-hit wonders. Like, my dad can name all the groups from his generation because he grew up in it. But I know the standouts who survived, who everyone's still listening to those records. And his records, I'm like, oh, that's good. But whatever happened to that group? Oh, that's the only song they had. Oh, okay. It's like that in hip hop.
Yeah,
Yeah. And they were showing one-hit wonders, and I'm like, oh, yeah, he was a one-hit wonder, even though I like that song. When you think about it, like, what happened? What happened? You're not in it for the long haul. And, if you really don't love it and you run into the business, you're going to leave it because you're like, I don't need this. Let me just go do something I like. But if you love it, you're going to keep doing it. And there's a lot of groups that keep on doing it despite, not having contracts and stuff. We love this, and this is what we do. And, that's how hip hop started. And that's how anyone in hip hop survives. KRS-One is still doing stuff. He don't care because he loves it.
You should do it because you still love it. I mean, I like the fact that GZA is still, is working on an album. And GZA is in his, mid to late 40s. And I hope he look. The age thing don't matter to me. I mean, I can care less. You could be 70 and still do a hip hop album. Don't matter to me.
Well, if you're in music,
right,
and you're growing in music,
right.
Come on, Gil Scott-Heron and them were still doing stuff, and hip hop based on a lot of stuff that they did back then.
Yeah, he didn't.
Until
he couldn't do it no more. I mean,
exactly.
That's how it should be.
And that's what it is. A lot of people don't have that commitment no more, and and the fans don't have that commitment like they should. In all places. I won't say all fans, but in certain places it's cold, in certain places it's hot. Like, you could tell a lot of people are behind artists. A lot of people go to shows, and then you wonder why a lot of your favorite groups tour overseas, and it's hard, and you just got to catch them while they're over here because they're only going certain places. They're not going to play with people anymore, They gotta fill up a place. They gotta go to a place where people want to hear them. You know, and that's the sad part about it. It's like you guys who be filling up arenas, when they don't fill up arenas no more, they're not gonna want to do the music no more, and you don't hear nothing from them.
That's a shame because it's a shame because you have a lot of artists who passed away, and all of a sudden they now become their biggest fans. But when they were alive, you didn't really pay them any mind,
and they couldn't even get into the BET Awards.
Yeah, how about that? You know,
and now all of a sudden we honor you. Give them the roses while they're alive, and that's I think that's the thing that's gonna always, you know, right now, that's the thing in hip hop that stinks the most.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, whatever, you're a has-been, blah, 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 blah. He dies. You're a legend. I was, it's like when Prince died. Show me your Prince collection. What's that? I said, that's the copy of Musicology when he didn't have a label. It's the first original one. The Music Club member one. Huh? That's right. Shut up.
It's interesting because I feel like in hip hop was like that family, but then the court system and child services came in and
broke them up.
And then now they're just out there learning stuff on their own. I mean, hip hop is left up to the kids, I read, as far as to pass it on. But then, some people say, hey, even I have said, in hip hop for sale, hip hop being that father or hip hop being the father that the children never had or something like that, or, but then the industry comes in and just messes up stuff, and, to kind of segue into this, off air, we were talking about Big and Pac, and if Big and Pac were still alive, what would be today's standards of hip hop musically?
Yeah, I think it would be very different. I don't think lyricism would have died out much. A lot of people started trying to get away from lyricism and stuff because of battling and stuff.
Yeah.
The media was playing into that thing. Hip hop had a bad rep. It was trying to clean up its act. And I think I Used to Love Her is more, what Common said, is more in play, even more so now than when he made that song.
Right.
Because it's not the same. It's not the same no more, It's not,
Yeah. Nah, I hear you.
And I would go as far to this. I wish he would make a sequel like hip hop had a illegitimate child.
Yeah.
And she's just out there doing what she knows.
Yeah.
And mom's sitting there looking at her like, oh God, but she can't tell her nothing because she ain't gonna listen.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we are now. This new generation, oh, y'all did what y'all do. We're gonna do what we do. And I said, you're playing right into their plan because you don't own anything you make anymore.
Maybe every generation might have felt like that. Maybe the generation that I'm not saying Nas himself, but maybe when somebody from Nas's time came out, and then somebody from Melly Mel's time was like, man, forget that. You know what exactly. I mean? It's possible. It's possible.
Yeah. Because we don't know it. You don't know what happened.
We don't know all the stories. We didn't have social media back then like that,
right. But then the whole thing is, who's going to be the one that's going to be a parent to the next one and keep it? Yeah. Are we just going to keep throwing it away every generation and then have the little divide in between those types? Oh, I was this era. I was that era. This was my era.
Well, the problem is that you have people who are outside of the culture who are raising kids, who are raising these hip hop kids. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. People who are not even within the culture. So then hip hop doesn't know how to be hip hop. I mean, let's keep it real. I I have to, this is the best analogy that I can give it for the listeners, so bear with me. If a black child is being raised by a white family, does that child know what it's like to be black child, born black, can't do nothing about it? But is that white family now going to raise him to be black? No. They don't know how to. They can't show him and give him the black experience. Vice versa, a black family raising a white child. That child's going to think that child either is going to think he's black, or black is going to be what he knows, but he knows he's white when he looks in the mirror. He knows he looks different from anybody else. You know what I'm saying? So when that very thing that ain't like you, that brings you up, it's gonna cause some confusion. The last time I checked, lions raise other lions, not tigers. Okay? So this is what's happening right now. The industry is now being that stepdaddy, basically. It's the step pops raising these kids. And this is why you have certain artists out there. I think that a lot of the disrespect has a lot to do with that too. When you were talking about the disrespect that we see in the hip hop community, you see an older guy, because they're not being taught by the people. I will say one thing though. I wish we would have had more of that mentorship in hip hop though. I don't think that's there like it should be. Because I think if we had that more, then maybe that would be different. I think a lot of artists just want to put themselves on, and then that's it. But if we had more of that mentorship happening, because you do see that in other genres. You see that in country. You see that in other genres. If more of that mentorship was there, like,
like you see Prince taking people under his wing and come with me,
right,
how many people?
Right, Michael Jackson before he died, and,
Right.
I mean, Chris Brown was, right, Chris Brown grew up on
even the NBA, they do that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know what? Okay, it's interesting that you said the NBA, because I see him more, that mentorship I do see in the NBA. I wish it was on the same level in hip hop or just black music, period.
Mm-hmm.
If we had more, shout outs to certain guys. There's certain guys out there that don't mind that. They don't mind sitting in a studio. They don't necessarily got to tell you what to do. But, some of them sitting in the studio, just them being there and just them feeding off of them. Because me personally, and I remember what Scarface said, he was like, look, they asked him a question, would you change your stuff to sound like the people of today's fans? He said, did Stevie Wonder have to change his music? No. He said, did Michael Jackson have to change his music for the fans of today, of that time when he was coming up? He said, no. He said, so why should I have to change mine? He said, if anything, I'm still trying to catch up to them. Prince, he said, they're the greats. He said, I'm not on their level. And they tried to tell him, well, on hip hop you are. He said, look, I ain't even for that. Scarface is a humble dude. He's not going to just take that like that. He was basically saying that, here I am, a hip-hop guy, but I was listening to guys in other genres and seeing how on another level they were. And I'm trying to be from my genre and on another level. I respect Scarface for saying that. And you know what? Our younger artists need to take his advice. Because you have a lot of artists out here who mumble rap, whatever. You got the mumble rapper crowd. Some of these guys actually might have better skill than what we see in the mainstream on the records they trying to get them to do. But because they've been told not to display that, they can't be happy. Okay, they're getting money. It may be a temporary thing. But if you're not doing what you like, how could you be happy? I don't get that. So let's segue into this. I know I was long-winded there. But what other artists could you think of today that you think that would survive in a earlier era of hip hop? I'll drop a name and then just kind of help it along. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, J. Cole.
J. Cole could survive because he could survive in the Far Side era, definitely. He could, and then early on, yeah,
Oh, yeah, he could.
easy.
It's easy. It's interesting that you mentioned that particular time. Yeah, he would fit in. He would fit in well with that particular sound. Far Side. I would even say the
See,
who's that?
And while we were throwing this out there, one thing I regret that won't happen is J. Cole getting a spit on a Dilla beat. Yes,
wow.
I said it. Yes, I said it. And you know me.
Yeah, he would fit with that too.
Because you know what I'm listening to right now when I get in the car, because I listen to the whole album, but I start at Neighbors, then go right through Folding Clothes, then go around to the beginning.
I wish he was on Tribe's last album because
oh my goodness.
I mean Kendrick was on there, but J. Cole would have fit in right there.
I like Kendrick on that too, but the addition of J. Cole on there, I wish that could have happened. But especially the way those tracks were. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it's interesting that you say Far Side time that particular crowd. So you figured at that time you had Souls and Mischief, like he would sound good on stuff like that.
Oh my goodness. Boom 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 boom. Boom 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 boom.
Word.
I'ma let him know.
Him spitting on a 93 till infinity type beat.
Boom,
Like,
boom,
doom,
boom,
doom,
boom. Exactly.
Yeah, he would. I think he would be successful. I think the question is, would he be successful in that era as he is today? He would have success, but he would have more competition though. But that would just make him more hungry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it, because he's more abstract, because you had the era of Freestyle Fellowship, you had the abstract rap.
Right.
And, Tribe and all of them, you had more creativity and more places for you to be back then. Like, Tribe doing an album now shows they could survive today.
Oh
yeah. So
yeah, that's true.
I think if L put out an album, but he didn't promote hardcore promote it.
Right.
So that makes me. But Bath Salt lit up the internet as far as Twitter feeds and everybody used. He did something modern and it lit up everybody. He can do it. We know he has a skill.
Right.
But, he has the show. So he's not just doing music. So his attention as far as promoting and touring, he does shows when he has time off. And then, doing a series is a lot of time and a lot of days, That, doing a television show takes a lot of your time. So we didn't really get to see him push it, but we saw him make noise. I don't have the final figures. A lot of dudes, most mumble rappers wouldn't make it.
No.
They wouldn't make it in Sugar Hill Gang. Oh my goodness, Sugar Hill Gang would be, oh my goodness. Yeah. Funky 4+. They wouldn't make it in that era, and that's like the early, because they're like, "What are you saying?"
I think even Future would be different if he came out in the 90s. He would have to be a little different. He would have to sound a little different.
See, the whole thing is, if you just take them and pull them, that's one thing. If they grew up in that era,
right,
be influenced by that era, but they're influenced by things past that era. So, probably the early 2000s and the things where that started. I got 5 on it. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Where the sound started.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing is, It's like that guy said. You got a lot of people who aren't going to work for free who know what they're worth, and so they'll just grab a kid who will do it for free.
Wow.
You know, because people aren't messing with labels if they ain't paying them. And then, you know, if you can pay as little possible, make a lot of money off of somebody, and you throw them some cash, but, you know, kind of leave them in debt, so you still kind of own them. But that's how the industry's always worked. But, you know, they don't know that. You know, we see things now with the New Edition story and stuff where people get back to the projects and they ain't got no money and they done toured around the world.
Yep.
So it don't mean nothing. It don't mean you got money just because you flashing around and taking cash in the airport. How do I know that don't belong to the label and you better not lose a bill of that? Because, you know, that's an image.
Yeah.
Because if you carry money like that all around, no one's attempted to rob you. Your bodyguards ain't that good. If I know it's a payday, or is that just a show? We don't know. You know, somebody get on there. I got the money. Some people do have money, and some people don't. It depends how your deal's made. We don't know who because we don't know your business. And I ain't asking you to put your business out there, but it's just, you know, you could have one dude who's really got that money, and then another label says, "Oh, we got to make our guy look like he got money," so they have you doing stunts.
That's the very thing that I think would still happen if Big and Pac was alive. There's something that's that whole with the industry thing, because that was going on when they was alive. So I don't think that would change.
Right.
But I do get what you're saying though. I think the industry is basically playing out the role that they're supposed to.
Right.
Because I think at some point they might tell Pac or Big to kind of tone it down a bit. The thing is, they would respond differently. These were artists who did look.
But the whole thing is, if you couldn't release an album, they don't drop nothing to the underground or nothing. They don't put nothing out. When Pac couldn't put an album out with Interscope, he put it out as an underground tape. Remember, he did Troublesome 21. He never got to release it as an official album. He had to do Strictly for My Ends. Yeah. And that's what happened with them. But that's how much music they were producing. You know, Biggie dies, a double album comes out of nowhere. Even though some rumors say half of it was Shine, but, you know, never verified none of that.
Well, I mean, he had finished his album.
I know, right, but you know how the streets always got to say something.
Yeah.
Nah, man.
I've heard that too back then.
Nah, man. You know, it's not verified. But that's, you know, stuff people be saying. Sometimes somebody makes something up and people think, yo, streets been talking. We don't. Nobody even knows where that came from. Yeah, but I know I heard that.
I think people were doing that because they were talking about how much Pac songs did. Remember, Pac was facing jail time at that one point over that alleged rape case.
And so he went in the studio and did as much as he could.
Yeah, he did so much. And because of that, he had a lot of records that were just sometimey because he was rushing them. But hits came out of that too. So I'm not going to, gloss over that. But
like he got a hot verse. After he died, they just put somebody else on the other verse and then finished it out. But you have enough stuff in the studio, you could go in. A lot of people had that because, you know, there's so much you do in the studio that doesn't get released. There's always like extra songs on albums. They're good, but they don't fit the album. And you have that. So you got a lot of tracks on the side. And they're like, Issue's album's coming. But he did a lot of recording. Before and after that, you know? And when he got out, he did a lot of recording because he didn't know when his time was coming. He always felt like he was going to die early. So that's, you know, he wanted to leave a lot of material.
Yeah, you could tell in his lyrical contest.
What's that? Was that the Chappelle show when they had the joke of Pac saying modern stuff?
Oh, yeah. He was talking about George Bush. He was like, I wrote this song a long time ago. A real long time ago in '94.
Talking about, because he be talking about stuff that's going on now. Look, everybody stop.
Word.
But that was a long time. He had so much material that it became a joke. That, you know, how's this dude's material still coming out years later?
Yeah, that was funny. That Chappelle skit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he was it's interesting because, so, you know, we were talking about how J. Cole, now Kendrick Lamar, how would he do in the 90s?
Bop, bop, bop. He'll probably be with that madcap crowd. Proof is in the pudding.
But yeah.
Where you're semi-successful, but it wasn't the sound. They weren't ready for that sound yet back then. See, people tried that sound back, you know.
No, maybe not what he's doing with this last album, but like his first album. Like if he was doing stuff like his first studio album, The Good Kid, Mad City.
Swimming pool in the night with it. Drank. I don't know. First album, I don't know. Pimp a Butterfly? Pimp a Butterfly could
maybe, yeah, because that was more of a conscious album.
Yeah, that would survive.
Yeah.
The first album, I like the first album, but but
well, he would be. Let's put it like this: he would survive based off of his skill,
right? Because they would dig him because he has enough skill for people like. Because Kendrick ain't whack.
His lyricism is there.
Yeah,
his creativity is there. I think he would have had success.
Because even now he has his own notch. Because how he sees music and how he does his you can't describe it. It's like he's gonna end up being like him. He's gonna be defined by himself eventually. Because you can't okay, I'm trying to think of somebody at that time that was doing something like that was just unique. I was pulling for Madcap because Proof is in the Pudding was a hit, because it's Pump It Up and stuff. And then I ended up getting that album. But lyrically, that album's not equal to Kendrick on the lyricism side, but it's not a weak lyricism album. But Madcap was a ridiculous produced album. And then I do play the trumpet on there too, live. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think of somebody who had lyricism and creativity. Oh gosh, it's on the edge of my comparisons are gone. They went off the page. But so you have okay, OC's first album.
Okay, so you figured Kendrick would be lumped in with. Well, it's kind of hard to say because
he wouldn't be lumped in because he's from the West.
Right, because I just started thinking
because he would have support, but I'm just saying he would fall into that OC category, which OC's first album was on Wild Pitch came out to critical acclaim. That's just like one of those unsung albums that even people like around, like when I've lived in other places, I've talked about that album with other people. But,
his affiliations would have already been with Snoop and them, right?
Right.
So you figured he would probably have a Dog Pound kind of sound?
Yeah, but but everybody out of the Dog Pound didn't use funk, but they had that musical sound. So if he came out then, probably end up on Death Row. Lyrically he'd be fine.
Right. Yeah, lyrically he would be fine. Well.
Oh my God, swimming pools with the Dre beat. Man, now you.
Yeah.
Oh, drank. Yeah, because Dre at that. Dre always
reinvent himself.
Yeah, because Dre would reinvent himself to work with him.
I mean, it would be Dre. It would be either DJ Quick.
Oh my goodness.
You know,
Yes.
couple other West Coast producers maybe. Well, I think Kendrick would mess with the East Coast too if he came out at an earlier time. But it all depends on what his affiliation would be from a label standpoint. Now, if he was like you said, if he would have came out, then it would have been signed to Death Row. Then here's a good way to look at this. Let's say Kendrick came out the same time Pac came to Death Row. Here's what would have happened. I'm going to go ahead and guess that Kendrick probably would have got shelved. Not because of his talent, but because of the dream team that was on Death Row at that time.
Yeah.
He couldn't be with that label because he wouldn't see it. It would be hard.
Like K-Solo.
Yeah.
We never got that Death Row K-Solo album. It was done, I heard. I hope it was. Somebody got a copy of that? Yo, hit me up. I just want to hear it. And no one else would ever hear it. But, you know.
I ain't know nothing about that.
K-Solo signed with Death Row, I believe.
Okay.
And nothing ever, you know, it's like a lot of people have signed with this and that, and then nothing ever came out of it. Like if Big L wouldn't have died, we probably wouldn't have never heard that album.
Oh man, you know, it's interesting that you say Big L. His time was just ended way too soon.
And that album was fire, and he was doing stuff like around New York and local radio and mixtapes that was even better than that album when he passed. You know, imagine somebody like him lived. That changes the game. That changes the game for New York.
It does. Locally, it does. It does yeah. It's a shame because
you'll never know.
Big L's a different conversation. Only because Big L came out in the 90s.
Yeah.
So it's a little different with him. I'm just thinking of guys who came out in the millennium era, because Kendrick and J. Cole and Drake. And I'm gonna ask this next question now that I said Drake. Now, honest opinion, because I'm gonna give it. Would Drake survive in the 90s?
He would be considered
with his style today.
He would be considered a Nate Dogg. So
yeah, he
would probably do that. He probably would have had to start with singing on the hooks or rapping like that. He would be. He'd probably be he would have had to feature more. Then he would have got his project like Nate Dogg did. And, you know, we had heard him so much, then we wanted him.
That's true.
And so everybody's like, why are you making cases for them? Let's be realistic, you know, because we want to act like everybody would drown in the 90s. But, you know, if you look at what was going on and you realistically, honestly, so I think there's room for it because a lot of what they do stemmed from back here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just they're on a new evolution of it that's, you know, where they have something that's their own, that's now, you know? Because, you know, everybody act like rappers didn't sing. Stuff that we didn't have. We didn't have regulate.
But is it so much of? I don't think it's so much of the singing. It's probably what they're singing about. Because, you know, Drake is perceived as being soft. And let me just say this: LL Cool J made it possible for this man to have a career.
No kidding. LL fought the stereotypes and did love songs. I Need Love, Pink Cookies in a Plastic Bag Being Crushed by Buildings, Hey Lover.
Because to me, that's what Drake is. Drake is
Hush.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Because ladies love Cool J. That's right.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is, that's probably who you probably would have fell in with. And if you fell in with him and you dissing him, you got to battle LL. So he's safe.
That's true.
See, it's all dependent. If you fall in with the right people, ain't nobody touching you anyway.
True.
Oh, okay. We'll do that together, you know? If he fell in with LL, ain't nobody messing with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like for years. Oh, the only battle I wanted to continue was him and Cannabis.
Yeah.
But, we didn't get that. But, but that was fun. That was starting to be really fun. But battles stopped lasting a long time like they used to.
Here's an interesting thing I'm about to do.
Yeah.
I basically just named the three, I guess you could say the three top guys, especially Drake, that people, refer to. So I'm going to name some guys from earlier era. I won't name everybody because that'll take too long.
Yeah.
Now, this is going to be interesting. I'll start it off by saying this. Sadly, if Nas would have came out today, he would have just been underground.
That's it.
And that's it. The talent would have been there. Everything would be there. Everything would be there as far as who he is, everything.
What happened?
But But they wouldn't give him no mainstream love because it's too real.
What happened with him is he'll be overseas like all the quote unquote underground guys are now, working with people overseas.
Or he would have been 5 albums deep before anybody gave him any respect.
That either or. Exactly.
There's a lot of artists that are like that now. You got guys like Immortal Technique and MF Doom. These guys been out for a long time, but then some guys are giving them attention. And it's like,
finally,
here these guys are talented, and people are just now hearing about them. That would have been Nas's story. I would even say with Jay-Z, if Jay-Z would have, it's a little different with Jay. If Jay would have came out with Big Pimpin' now,
it would hit.
It would hit, but then he would still have a lot of work to do in their eyes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He could adapt, but I can't picture Jay-Z mumble rapping. But if he would have came out today, he would have had to do. I'm laughing because he would have had to do the stuff that he did with Foxy Brown today. I didn't see if that would have worked. You know what I mean? I know what girls like, and he would have had to do that stuff today.
But the whole thing is,
like, remember we was talking about 444.
Yeah,
Say if Jay-Z's first album today was 444. Say this was Jay-Z's debut album.
It wouldn't do as good.
No, it wouldn't. The songs, the attention would The intention wouldn't. The album wouldn't do as good as the album. I mean, the album sounds good. That's all people will give him. Yeah, it sounds nice, but he wouldn't get this attention.
See, that's what you do anyway, because LL started that, selling albums to women. That's why he would outsell everybody, because women actually buy the music they like.
Well, this is what I've learned business-wise, is that if you have a women following as your base of consumers or women, if your audience is women, women are the most loyal fans in the world. And women usually will stay with you as long as I'm saying as long as you act right. Don't diss the women now. That's the problem. Some people diss women, but usually they say if a woman is your fan, you have a fan for life.
Yep.
But you got to do right by the women. But that's what they say. So yeah, LL. Well, okay. So let's talk about LL. If LL would have came out today.
If LL came out today, we wouldn't have the bad side of LL.
Nope.
We would still have the Hey Lover.
Yeah,
he might do some. But he would still be able to get rough and rugged, like if dudes was coming at his girl or something like that.
Hey Lover, that's a joint though. But yeah, if he would have came out with Hey Lover today, that would do
good. Michael Jackson sample.
Word.
Lady of My Life.
Yep.
Oh, please. And Boys to Men still relevant. Hey Lover.
Word, cause that song is timeless. I mean, that's one of my favorite songs from LL, man. Just like his full body of work.
Yeah.
Like that album, that song would do good today. So somebody like LL in this musical climate,
because his tracks are either hardcore, hot, or musical.
But we wouldn't get Mama Said Knock You Out, though. I don't think we would get that now. If he would have came out today, unless somebody challenged him.
But if we got a 4, 3, 2, 1, we wouldn't mind it.
Oh shoot! Well, see, that's
boom, boom, boom,
yeah.
boom, boom.
Yeah.
See, this would be like this.
Yeah.
LL would have those tracks on his album if he came out today. It'll be like his commercial hits would be all his love songs, but then he would have the hardcore tracks. So then he would get more acceptance because your girl's playing the album and the dudes will end up liking it. He would survive because he adapts.
Yeah.
And he could, he could switch up, he always sounds like himself no matter what lyrical style he uses.
What if Wu-Tang came out now?
Wow, that would be tough. Oh my gosh, though. But they wouldn't sound like nobody.
Yeah.
See, a lot of people's production, that means you wouldn't have, you wouldn't have Wu-Tang yet, so you wouldn't get a lot of, even my sample style.
That includes me. If a lot of these guys we talking about don't come out then yeah, I don't have a musical career. Yeah, I don't either.
I don't even have a ghosting career.
Yeah, I don't yeah, I don't have. That's true.
I'm at ShopRite right now. Been working 30 years.
Word. We wouldn't be doing this podcast.
Exactly. Woo? Being from Staten Island.
I know that's hard for me, man. I can't. Both of us being from Staten Island it's a big deal when it comes to the Woo. So yeah, you're right.
So basically, they would be a unique sound.
So okay. Yeah, wow. They would definitely be a unique sound. You know what? It's interesting.
Meth make it.
Yeah, he probably would. It might be hard for Jizza though.
Yeah, because
Jizza and Ghost and Ray. Well, depending on what era of Ghostface, because Ghostface through his years. I mean, if Ghostface would have came out with Sher Shezla Ghost now, the Tommy and Tola is on the road. I mean, that's different. But if he would have came, or if Raekwon, I don't know, if Raekwon's Ice Cream would have came out today, that would have caught somebody's attention. But if they would have came out with if Raekwon would have came out with Guillotine and Wu Gambinos and all that today, cats would be like, yo, this is underground. They would, because that's how Wu gets treated right now.
Right.
Wu-Tang gets treated as an underground group right now. It's like, I mean, these guys were once chart topping with hardcore records.
And the whole thing is underground artists make more money in their pocket though. But that's a whole nother show. But
well, like Mr. J said, you take the fame and I'll keep the money.
I'll keep the exactly.
Right, yeah.
Evil. Mr. J Medeiros, if you don't know who we're referencing.
Right. It might be a situation like that.
That's a hot track too.
It might be, but you know what? It's one of those things that we really don't know, because without these guys, because it's
without them there, how many of these current guys you don't evolve, your samples don't evolve. Right. You don't even get the sample, the 444 sample type, because a lot of that came from Wu and Kanye.
Yeah, No ID and the work that he put it on the 444 album. I mean, Jay-Z got the right producer for that. He went and got him somebody from a time that it's interesting.
That's why it sounds like it sounds like a coming.
That's why it sounds,
See, for those who don't know producers, No ID did the Resurrection album.
Right.
For Common. I used to love, And him and what's the other guy who did Rich Man Poor Man who rapped with him? Why not? So that was like No ID and Why Not, the Resurrection album.
Right.
I was wondering why the textures and everything, like Resurrection, bing, yeah, it's the same tonal thing. And then you get to do an album for somebody who has the money to pay to clear stuff, so you could do whatever you want.
Well, see, this is why.
See, and so you don't, if No ID, you get no. Gosh, man, I've always wanted to work with No ID. Jay, man, you doing my bucket list stuff, because all that came out of there because of No ID, Kanye, and all of them. Chicago. That and I'm gonna stop here and park for a second. A city where MC Breed used to be rocking Pump It Up every summer. A city that needs to get more props in the hip hop because everyone was like East West and they weren't even looking at Chicago. And one of my favorite rappers, who is Common, is from Chicago. And I've been riding with Common since Can I Borrow $1?
Right. That's 91, right? 92?
Right. So yeah, you don't get so yeah. Everyone forgets about that. I was in audio school and Common was ripping stuff in Manhattan, in New York. And we're up there as audio students going nuts. I had the album, and then my dude's like, he's going to be over here. Oh my gosh. One of the best moments of my life. Just to let you know. I'm up at Institute of Audio Research in Manhattan. We go see Common. We go see somebody else the other night because everything's happening in the city. Going to school in Manhattan is just the greatest thing in the world. You got the Blue Note over here. You got, hop a train, you're uptown. It is beautiful. But, thinking about that, giving Chicago props and a lot of other places like Ghetto Boys. Whew, they get, Scarface and them don't get mentioned a lot.
Yeah, they usually only get mentioned in a southern, when it comes to hip hop in the South. That's the only times they get brought up. But hip hop in general, their name should be Scarface solo, but then as a group, Ghetto Boys, the name, you don't hear Ghetto Boys enough as a group.
Number one, people saw Mind Playing Tricks on Me. Yeah, there was albums before that. What about the album with all of them with their mugshots on the front of it? Right. That album, because the Mind Playing Tricks was when Bushwick got shot, and then they had to take the picture of him in the hospital when he got shot.
Yeah.
Because that needed to happen.
It's interesting because Ghetto Boys, I think Willie D, he had an interview, and Ghetto Boys was going to consist of different rappers.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that we got what we got today. And these are the stories that only the artist could tell. And this is another thing I want to take from hip hop is the stories.
Right.
That's another thing that I like about hip hop is that, if it wasn't for these artists coming out at a time that they did, we wouldn't get the stories that we get today.
Right. And then another one, Cool G Rap.
Wow. Can you imagine if the Juice Crew never came out? It just would be different for hip hop. You can't have
let me give you a comparison.
Yeah.
That's like, what's her name who played on Different World, who does animation now? What's her name? Who played Freddie on A Different World?
Oh, you talking about the one that had the nose ring?
Yeah.
I don't know her name.
Yeah. If her and Tara Strong, they said, take one of those two from animation. Now, the girl who played Freddie, Cree Summer. If you take Tara Strong and Cree Summer from animation, one of those two, you lose half of everything animated. You take Tara Strong away because she played Harley, not the original one, but she's played Harley on Batman animated series. That's gone. You take Cree Summer away, you got a lot of stuff gone. but that's what taking the Juice Crew away from hip hop is like.
There's a lot, right?
Stuff wouldn't exist.
That's true.
People wouldn't have got put on. Stuff wouldn't exist. The landscape would be different. It's unimaginable.
It would.
I'm like, that's only 2 voice actors, and you could destroy, your childhood. Imagine with that many rappers.
Yeah, that.
Oh, I heard them. It's that type of destruction. Not that I was even trying, but I just wanted to give you some validity to how much impact that would be.
No, you make a great point. Everybody, no Boogie Down Productions, no D Nice, no, wow. Let's go down the line, Wow. Well, look, it just goes to show look, hip hop with no Rakim, you probably wouldn't have Wu-Tang then. Because Wu-Tang talked about how inspired they, Wu-Tang style and the things they talk about from a conscious standpoint.
Exactly.
What their beliefs are. If there's no Rakim, it's like if there's no Nas, I don't think there's a J. If there's no Jay-Z and Nas, there is no J. Cole, because J. Cole, to me, kind of sounds like an iteration of both of them.
Right. And then if there's no Large Professor, it ain't hard to tell.
See? If there's no Pete Rock, there's no The World Is Yours.
There's no Reminisce. Nope. There's no CL Smooth.
There's no CL Smooth.
There's no Heavy D production.
Horrible.
Because that was his cousin.
It's horrible. This is why.
There's no Run DMC comeback, Down with the King.
Wow. Yeah.
There's no Shut 'Em Down Fat Fire remix.
Right. Right. You're right.
Pete Rock has done more production than you realize, people. That's why he's one of the double snare tap. My favorite, that tap, tap. Everybody gets mad at me for even including that. I don't care. I love Pete Rock. Pete Rock made me want to make beats. Pete Rock made me want to buy an MPC.
To me, hip hop would suffer as an art form if we didn't have producers like RZA, Dre,
Primo,
like you said, Primo,
Pete Rock.
There would be no
Marley Marl.
Yeah, Marley Marl.
Come on. Marley Marl was producing everything in its grandma at one point.
Mm-hmm.
The Symphony. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. See, we don't today. There's no emphasis on that. It's just like emphasis on artists. Who's back there doing that stuff? That's why Kanye wanted a mic. And I understand it, because he knows as a producer, I'm not going to get props for being legendary because of how y'all treat beat makers, even though I love them and I've been waiting to work with them.
That's like, and we'll end it on this, because I'm gonna name something big. This ain't even hip hop, but this is a good way to end this. Where is Michael Jackson's solo career without Quincy Jones?
Yeah, because it never would have started. Because who's calling Rod Templeton to write half off the wall? He was supposed to write one song, but then the stuff got so good they took them all. Mm. You get off the wall, live it, And then Michael wrote some stuff on there, Rod Templeton, and then he became a songsmith, because that's what. And I'm gonna end on this. I'm gonna start my final statement.
Yeah.
If you don't have or give props to the people before you, or they're not there for you, you don't have anything.
Yes.
So for you to be ungrateful is like, it's terrible. It's like I owe me playing piano to Stevie Wonder, hands down. My teacher even called me. The rhythmic style of playing, that's all, my dad jokes and says, you were conceived to Stevie Wonder. Probably, because I, know my dad, he remembers everything. Best concert I've ever been to, the Songs in the Key of Life tour here at Wells Fargo, because I live down here. Went with my best friend. Those things, the ungratefulness in hip hop has to stop, because somebody's inspired you. You didn't come out of there. Maybe you may not have been able to reach them, but give them props. Now, Prince said something about Timberlake. Sexy Never Left, but that didn't ever stop Timberlake from saying, oh, Prince is one of my biggest music influences. Even though, as you see me in the club, all that happened. Okay, it was just a response. But that never stopped him from giving Prince his props. He was, he was salty at him for a little bit, but, it is what it is. Even if you're salty, because somebody don't, even if you're a mumble rapper and the dude who inspire you don't like what you do, it's still built upon those pillars. If you don't, that's the whole thing. This is America. We ignored history, and history is repeating itself in the violence that's going on right now. It's the same thing with music. You're going to take it back to one, and then somebody's going to get props, and then it's going to build. Then you're going to be forgotten because somebody has to be a foundation. And if the foundation isn't recognized, it's going to collapse. Every music has a foundation. R&B has a foundation. We can track it back to its beginnings. We can track jazz back to its beginnings. We can track everything back to its beginnings. It has a foundation. And then off of that, something else was born because someone was inspired by one genre and then they combined something from multiple genres. Now we got something new. That's how alternative music came. And, and so on. If the hip hop community doesn't learn to appreciate what it has and realize what it wouldn't have been if without these people's contributions, if we would realize that, we could honor them now before they die. Pete Rock and all these people are still living. Primo's living. Primo's executive producing an MC8 album. Yeah, cheer. You know what I'm saying? It's going down. Like, there's combos and, things, there's features and stuff and songs and combos that you never thought you would see that are happening now. But you got to be appreciative. It's, 44 years. Are we going to forget what everybody did for 44 years? From Kool Herc all the way up to now? And you're the hottest thing, so forget them? You are working on 44 years of work. Respect it. I respect everybody who's influenced me. I had mentors and personal mentors who aren't even no longer here. You don't even know how much time somebody has left. You take for granted that I could call this person and get musical advice. Now, what if they're not there? You got to find your way. Because when you get caught, I'm telling you, musically and production-wise, when you get caught off by yourself, you can only inspire yourself but so much. We all feed off of life. We feed off of things. We feed off of everything creatively. And then when you back yourself into a corner, like it's me and just me and this, and I don't want to do what you sound, you sound like a little kindergarten kid, like I used to teach when I used to teach kindergarten. You don't understand, this kid doesn't like this other kid, but this other kid's necessary in your life because he's going to fulfill a purpose that you're not. And you're going to need him, even though right now you don't like him. These are things you need to learn. In the industry, you see the same people going down you saw going up. And if you spit on them, they're just going to let you fall. People catch you. I've been caught by people. Even though I'm not working, I've been caught by people I've seen on the way up and down. And basically, it wasn't public because I was ghosting, but people have saved me because I decided not to be a jerk. I don't have time to do everything I want to do or do things for everybody, so I'm not always readily available. But you have to know, if what I'm doing, somebody paid for this. If I didn't pay for it, somebody paid for it, so you can do it. Yeah. You could ride on the front of the bus because of Rosa Parks. You don't even know her. You're generations away from her. But if she's never there, you're riding on the back of the bus. If you're a black person, and if a white person got on the bus, you had to get up and give up your seat. Today, you don't have to. Why is that? You may not know the reason why. It's time to find out. See, if you don't learn your history, you repeat the bad part of history. And that's what we're doing as a country right now. But that's a political commentary, but that's, it's a very vibrant example. Before we had a special, we're talking about Rodney King was beat up. Now people are getting shot in custody. It's escalating. A lot of people, I don't want to use my voice to talk. That was one of the founding of this vehicle, is one of the reasons this vehicle was created, because the street needed a voice. Do you even know that? Right. You're silencing the voice of your community because, you're about yourself, but you're going to end up by yourself because everyone's been a star and a lot of people haven't been, what you watch Unsung and you know what I'm talking about. A lot of people talented and stuff, and they're unsung now. People don't even want to mess with them. And it's terrible. But that's what the industry does to you. They use you, and when you're not hot, they're going to put another person in your place. You know who keeps working? The musicians, the producers, and they watch you come in one door and go out the other, and they watch the new people come in. Because everybody's not an Alicia Keys. She's a once-in-a-lifetime person. Everyone's not a Stevie Wonder. That's a once-in-a-lifetime person. Everyone's not a Maxwell. Everyone's not a Nas. Everyone's not a Jay-Z. Everyone's not a Common. Everyone's not a Cube. Everyone's not a Kendrick. Everyone's not a J. Cole. Everyone's not a Drake. Everyone's not a Rihanna. They have their lane they've established. Everyone's not a Beyonce. They have their lane. They don't need a copycat of them. If you don't have nothing to offer, if you're just a clone, you're used during the clone, and then Beyonce reinvents herself, makes Lemonade, and now the people who were imitating what she was doing before that are gone. Have you noticed that? Now they're looking for Lemonade clones. But Beyonce's reinventing herself, and she's always going to be around because she's the originate. Yeah, cool. I heard. You know what I'm saying? She making lemonade, they making Kool-Aid. But this is what I'm saying. The people who are the innovators will be here because they know how to reinvent themselves, and they always sound like themselves because it's their voice. This is Jay's voice on 444. It's just a mature Jay who's learned some things. But it's his voice. It sounds like him. It fits right in if you listen to the discography, It's the growth. Because they're them. Those guys, the people like that, how many people don't make it for those who make it in the industry? It's like a low number of albums out of the year that go platinum. So what are you gonna do? Are you gonna recognize, and then now I'm gonna build something original, or I'm gonna ride the trend? What am I doing? Is am I using hip hop? Is hip hop the girlfriend I'm cheating on with the executive girl over there? Go do her. She'll give you some of that, and you can pimp her for this. Then 10 years, you don't even want to mess with her. You see her on the street. I don't want to have nothing to do with you. You were sleeping with me then, And that's the problem. Common knows hip hop has a problem. He loves her, but he's trying to get her back. Constantly. And she loves him.
Right.
In 10 years, she ain't going to even know who you are anymore. And that's the average life of a rapper, of a come and go rapper. Just so you know. It's been like that since the 90s. You know, fame is fleeting. A lot of people have more fame than they get money out of it. Like I said, I saw a rapper who was a top rapper on 28th Street buying the clothes like I was. It's real. Because if you don't manage your money right, because you think you got a lot of it now, it's the same thing with athletes. You see the athletes, they mismanage their money. Everything's fleeting if you don't have something, that substance that's going to stay. And that, you know, that's all I'm going to say about that. You know, happy birthday, hip hop.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, everything. But, you know, if you're going to love it, love it. If you're going to try to pimp it, when I don't see you, like I see everybody pass, because I'll be doing this, even if I'm producing whatever, until I drop, I'll be doing music, whether it's successful or not, because it's something I love. It's a passion in my heart. So, you know, there's the next group that comes in. Some of the groups listen. Some of the groups work with you, and then some of the people don't. But everybody doesn't stay, even if they have a good time in it. Everybody doesn't stay because it's not their passion. It's something they do for a time. It's real talk. It's heavy talk. You know, it's just how I feel, because I love hip hop. I mean, I owe a lot to it.
Right.
A lot. It's helped me eat at times.
Exactly.
And I'm not gonna be foul to something that helped me. That's it for me.
That's what's up. Well said. I don't have to add anything else to that other than just this quick little thing. You know, these guys that, you know, that were before us, me and you, you know, these people are ancestors, and, you know, without them, I mean, where would we be today? And, you know, there's a African proverb that says, when you don't respect your ancestors, you will pay for it with your offspring.
Wow. Wow.
So with that being said, 40 hip hop 44. Let's hip hop. You don't stop. Let's keep it going. Exactly. All right. So Cinema, where can the people reach you?
At Cinemascapes at Twitter, IG, and that's a Twitter, IG, and Facebook.
All right, you can reach me at the Fifth General, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Zaccheus will be with us next time, episode 10. Zaccheus will be on episode 10. All right.
Yeah.
So. All right, so we're going to get up out of here, signing off. This is the Fifth General.
And Cinemascapes.
All right, the Round Circle Podcast. We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah. Peace.
Peace out.